Hello, dear friends, and welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales. I'm Adrian, and if you're new here, this is where we dive deep into the most compelling stories surrounding the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, always with respect, insight, and a keen eye for the human story behind the headlines. Today, we're exploring a moment that has sent ripples through royal circles worldwide. Prince Harry's first face-to-face meeting with his father, King Charles III, after an unprecedented 18-month separation. This wasn't just any family reunion. This was a carefully orchestrated encounter that could potentially reshape the future of the British royal family. So grab your favourite cup of tea, settle in, and let's unpack what really happened behind the gilded doors of Clarence House, and more importantly, what it might mean for the future of this fractured royal relationship. Before we dive into the reunion itself, let's paint the picture of where we were just 18 months ago. The last significant interaction between Harry and his father was shrouded in tension and unresolved conflict. The aftermath of Harry and Meghan's explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, the publication of Harry's memoir, Spare, and the ongoing legal battles over security arrangements had created what many royal experts described as an unprecedented rift in the monarchy. King Charles, newly crowned and bearing the weight of a modernising monarchy, found himself caught between his role as a father and his duties as sovereign. Meanwhile, Prince Harry, now living in Montecito, California, was building a new life with Meghan and their children, Archie and Lilibet, while still grappling with unresolved trauma and family dynamics. The silence between father and son had become deafening. Public appearances where both were present became exercises in careful choreography to avoid awkward encounters. Palace insiders spoke of a king who privately grieved the loss of his younger son's presence in the family, while Harry's friends described a man torn between loyalty to his wife and children and love for his father. This context makes their recent reunion all the more significant. So what exactly broke this 18-month silence? The stars aligned in the most unexpected way. King Charles was scheduled to fly from Aberdeen Airport to London for official duties, while Prince Harry was already in the capital for a 4-day visit centred around his charitable commitments. Palace sources suggest that the meeting wasn't entirely spontaneous. There had been quiet diplomatic efforts behind the scenes for weeks. According to our sources, the logistics alone required careful coordination. King Charles's schedule had to be adjusted to accommodate the meeting at Clarence House, while Harry's security team worked closely with royal protection officers to ensure the encounter could happen privately and safely. The meeting lasted approximately 1 hour, described by Buckingham Palace as a private tea. Now, in royal protocol, the term private tea carries specific weight. This wasn't a formal audience or an official meeting, it was positioned as a personal family encounter. The choice of Clarence House was also symbolic. It's Charles's personal residence, not an official palace, suggesting this was father meeting son, not monarch meeting subject. What we know about their conversation comes from carefully parsed palace statements and Harry's own brief comment later that evening. When approached by reporters at the Invictus Games event, Harry's response was telling, "Yes, he's great, thank you." The tone, according to those present, was warm and genuine, a marked departure from the careful diplomatic language we've heard in recent years. But perhaps most significantly, neither the palace nor Harry's representatives felt the need to brief against each other afterward, a practice that had become unfortunately common during the height of their estrangement. Immediately following this emotionally charged reunion, Prince Harry had to shift gears entirely. He moved from the intimate setting of Clarence House to centre stage at the first ever Invictus Horizons gathering in London, and if anyone wondered whether the meeting with his father might affect his performance, they had their answer quickly. Harry was electric. His keynote speech wasn't just about the Invictus Games, it was a masterclass in leadership and vision. He told the assembled crowd, "This is what Invictus does best. It catalyses change. It shows what is possible when courage is met with opportunity and when recovery is supported by respect and community." But listen to what he said next and consider the timing. While the first decade of Invictus has been remarkable, the next decade matters even more. Those words, spoken just hours after reconciling with his father, seemed to carry double meaning. Was he talking only about Invictus, or was he also speaking about his own journey? The audience included wounded veterans, their families and dignitaries from around the world. Many noted that Harry seemed more relaxed, more centred than he had in recent public appearances. Several veterans I spoke with afterward commented that there was something different about him that evening, a lightness they hadn't seen before. This raises fascinating questions about how personal healing and professional purpose intersect, particularly for someone like Harry, whose charitable work is so deeply connected to his own journey of recovery and growth. Now let's talk about what this reunion really means in the context of royal relationships, because nothing happens in isolation when it comes to the monarchy. First, the timing is crucial. This meeting occurred during a period when King Charles has been working to establish his reign's legacy. Royal historians tell us that Charles has always been acutely aware of the importance of family unity for the stability of the crown. The sight of a divided royal family has historically been seen as weakening the institution itself. There have been subtle signs of this thaw for months. Harry's team reportedly reached out to coordinate his London visit with royal schedules, a small but significant gesture that showed respect for his father's position. Meanwhile, palace sources suggest that Charles had been privately expressing his desire to reconnect with his son, particularly as he witnessed Harry's continued commitment to causes they both care deeply about. The choice to meet at Clarence House rather than Buckingham Palace is also telling. Clarence House has always been Charles's personal sanctuary, the place where he's most comfortable being himself rather than performing the role of king. By inviting Harry there, he was essentially saying, "Come home, let's talk as family." But here's what's really interesting. Neither side leaked details of their conversation to friendly media outlets. In recent years, we've become accustomed to carefully planted stories that present either side's perspective. The silence this time suggests both men wanted to protect this fragile reconnection from public scrutiny. Royal expert Dr. Sarah Richardson told me, when royals want to send a message through the media, they're very good at it. When they choose silence, that's usually because something genuinely important is happening that they want to protect. So where does this leave us? And more importantly, where does this leave the royal family? 1 hour of private tea doesn't erase years of hurt, misunderstandings, and very public disagreements. But it does something perhaps more valuable. It opens a door that many thought had been permanently closed. For King Charles, this meeting represents a chance to heal one of the most painful aspects of his early reign. Every parent can understand the anguish of being estranged from a child, but imagine carrying that burden while also trying to modernize an ancient institution and serve as head of state for multiple nations. For Harry, this reunion offers something he's been seeking since leaving royal life: acknowledgement and acceptance from his father without having to compromise his new path. The fact that Charles made time for this meeting during Harry's charitable visit suggests the king respects what his son has built independently. But let's also consider what this means for Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet. While they weren't part of this meeting, Harry's more positive demeanour suggests that healing this relationship with his father could have ripple effects throughout his family life. The big question everyone's asking is, what comes next? Will we see more regular contact between father and son? Could this eventually lead to a broader reconciliation with the royal family? And perhaps, most intriguingly, could this pave the way for Charles to finally meet his grandchildren Archie and Lilibet in person? As we wrap up today's deep dive, I keep coming back to something Harry said at that Invictus event. The next decade matters even more. Those words feel prophetic now. We're potentially witnessing the beginning of a new chapter in the royal family's story, one where healing is possible, where love can coexist with independence, and where two strong-willed men can find a way to be both king and father, son and duke. The road ahead won't be easy. There are still complex issues to navigate, feelings to heal, and public perceptions to manage. But for the first time in 18 months, that road exists at all. That's a wrap on today's episode of Meghan and Harry Tales. I'm Adrian, and as always, I want to hear from you. What do you think about this royal reunion? Do you see it as the beginning of genuine healing, or was it simply a diplomatic gesture? Are you hopeful for the future of this father-son relationship? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button if this analysis resonated with you. Subscribe and ring that notification bell, because next week we're diving into Meghan's latest project and how it might be influenced by this new chapter in Harry's relationship with his father. Until next time, remember, behind every royal headline is a human story, and those stories matter.